The sister cities of Los Angeles. And look at that shot of the sun glazing off the top of the Salvador sign, and the mileage shows how far to Mexico City, Berlin, Athens, Beirut, but none of those were deemed the location of the crime of the century, like Los Angeles.
Welcome everyone, Adam is the Woo here. Gonna take you back in time a bit to October 1st, 1910, a pivotal event involving one of the most popular newspapers in existence in the world, the LA Times, and it happened right here on this very street corner. It's my second channel, daily vlog channel. It's the Daily Woo.
I'm having a very serious Doc Brown from Back to the Future flashback moment right now. He's dangling from the clock at the top of the now permanent residence of the paper, and has been since its completion in 1935. The building still looks the same, just like those old historic photos with the cars parked down below. The only difference is on the far left wing here, they have added on, sort of kind of blocking the shot of what it used to look like. But that is an impressive structure. Impressive. Most impressive. In fact, quite a few buildings in the landscape have changed down here over the decades, but that structure still remains. And even in these old photos in the mid-30s, when it was erected, you'll notice over here to the right-hand side is an empty lot. The plot is completely barren, even to this day. I wonder why that is.
It's a simple explanation, really. This spot was the location of the original building before the newish one was constructed. Now, it is a wild coincidence that it is still completely barren. I do not think it has been like that for 80 plus years. There probably was something constructed here at one time, but for the sake of educational purposes, to get the mind and imagination tied in, harnessing into the subject matter,
that's what it looked like back when all those historic photos were taken. In fact, in this exact spot where I'm standing was a piece of the former building, going all the way up, very, very high. And there's a picture you can find online of a guy way up there deconstructing the past building. And he's looking down in the background from this angle, obviously a little bit higher, more of a bird's eye. But he was way up there. It's kind of hard to imagine now that way back in the early 1900s, the city turned out in droves for the ribbon cutting of that building, flocking out into the streets right there at this intersection. That would probably not happen now unless they rerouted traffic, because it is busy down here.
Now, the reason it was destroyed is a tragic one. Two brothers planted a bomb in an alley, blowing up part of the building, creating a fire that killed 20 people and injuring over 100.
This empty field definitely is a haunting reminder of what happened on that day. The two brothers were eventually caught. One of them served 15 years in prison, while the other one, who was the one who specifically placed the bomb, served life in prison. There are some photos, this one in particular, of them pulling bodies out, placing them in caskets before taking them to the cemetery. It's amazing to think that it happened right here. And there probably are not a lot of people passing by, either walking or driving, that have any recollection or knowledge that that happened. You always got to keep a fresh mouth. Thank you very much. That gum gives you a fresh mouth. I got a Coca-Cola because it is a little warm out here.
I really like street vendors like that. Just gives a little personality and flair to a city. Stuff you don't see in smaller towns. People on the side of the street selling their stuff, selling beverages and candies and whatnot.
But on that same subject of metropolis areas, things change quite a bit. Even though there were hundreds, if not thousands, of onlookers coming to pay attention to what happened right there across the street, the landscape
all down the roads looks completely different. On the left and the right, the skyline, totally different. Very difficult to match up, but it's here on the corner of First Street and Broadway, right downtown. Just as an example, this is what it looks like modern day, and this is a photo of immediately after it happened. The countless people who were congregating right here at this intersection. And you can see basically nothing looks the same now as it did way back then. Really, the only way to tell is the dimensions of the road elevating upward. It's one of the few spots on these corners where the road still looks the same. Crazy. That guy has a flat tire. Whoop, whoop. That's no fun. From this angle, you get a very good perspective of the damage. All the people were standing here in the road. The police had a barricade, and the part of the building that did not get too destroyed was right in here with an eagle perched up on top. But over here was where the alley was, kind of where I bought that soda from that gentleman. That's where the explosion happened. Wow. Still just kind of blows my mind when I see stuff like this. Kind of hard to wrap your head around history of this caliber. Now, it did take a while for them to remove all the remains, bringing the bulldozers in, taking away piece by piece. This old photo shows exactly where I'm standing on what it looked like after the completion and the demolition. Remember what I was saying about the road angling upward? That's it, right there on the left. Same roads, of course, repaved, reconcreted. But that's the spot. And how ironic it was that the paper itself had to report about the bomb, the 16 sticks of dynamite, calling it the crime of the century. Of course, the century was still very young in 1910. Who knew what the future would hold? But for that time, and especially for this city, and to this day, it still is quite the tragedy, to say the least. And evidently, according to the carving in the marble, this is the fourth home of the paper and the most recognizable. But the other one, the most famous other one, sat right across the street. Located on the pole outside is an article from the paper. Not a lot of a breeze today, a little bit of one. Just enough to get the flags to move a little bit. California flag there on the left, American flag in the middle, and on the far right, the Los Angeles city flag. The way the news covers those types of events, case in point, has changed dramatically since the newspaper days. It's not like the Al Bundy days. Some people still take their local paper, sit on the commode and read it, but everyone's on their smartphone now, or watching TV, or on Twitter or Instagram, or any other plethora of news organizations that are online. Very few have a subscription to paper. They still exist, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is they're not as popular as they were in the early 19th century into the mid 19th, or heck, even in the last 10, 15, 20 years, even 1990, papers are still very popular. I'm now going to head over to Hollywood Forever Cemetery, a little tie-in for the ending of this video. Just wouldn't be Los Angeles without bad traffic.
Nah.
It's all part of the experience.
Yeah.
I have arrived. Look at this old hearse. It has the name of the cemetery right there on the front. This massive monument is the final resting place of Harrison Otis, who was one of the publishers of the LA Times. And next to his is Harry Chandler, who took over. And while the significance of these two gentlemen is immense, I am here to look at this gravestone, built in respect for the 20 people
who were killed on that day. Our martyred men. There is an inscription placed there. Dedicated November 15th, 1911. There is a bird. You can see it perched with that ray of light beaming down. And I think maybe it could be a recreation, or it could be the actual wrought iron statue that was on that original destroyed building. If you look at those pictures, there was a bird perched atop as well. That could possibly be the same bird now here at the graveyard. This lasting memorial stands as a profound tribute of the respect, admiration, and affection held by those who knew them best, their families, friends, employers, co-workers, and associates. Now it's very hard to see it because of the trees that have grown over considerably since this monument was erected, but around the backside there is another inscription placed on the pillar. There's an old photo I found basically from this angle of friends and family placing wreaths and flowers on the grave sites that are right there in the ground. Looks much, much different now with all the foliage that has arose over the decades. A tragic event that happened over 107 years ago, way before I was ever a glimmer of existence. But history nonetheless. Not my generation, but past generations. I think it's important to remember history of any type, whether it be good, bad, tragic, fascinating stuff. Vlog over.